Dinner Uncomplicated. That's the cookbook that we're reviewing today, so grab a mug of your favorite beverage and join me for today's nutrition coffee chat. And while you're at it, click the subscription button below and the little notification bell so that you get everything you need to create healthy eating habits that stick. Dinner Uncomplicated. Yes, please. Well, as soon as I saw the title of this cookbook, I jumped right on it. I knew I wanted to really review this cookbook because, hey, what's for dinner? Those can be 3 words that strike fear into your heart. Okay, well, I mean, I might be a little over dramatic about that, but figuring out what the heck to eat for dinner every single night, particularly when you're busy, that's what I see causes a lot of stress for clients that I serve. And so I wanted to get a cookbook, Dinner Uncomplicated, and figure out, would this actually help you? Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, I did win this cookbook as a door prize for a professional development webinar that I attended, but I knew for sure I wanted to get that cookbook, put my hand right up there, virtually, and review it for you. So yeah, Dinner Uncomplicated, Claire, Tansey, that's what we're reviewing today. Ooh, but before I get into the review, it is December and I'm compiling the list of cookbooks which I will review in 2021, and I'd love to get your input. What cookbooks are you seeing come out? Or maybe they're oldies, but you've been wondering if they would be helpful for yourself. Let me know, please, in the comment box below so that I can order them and get them in the queue for reviewing in 2021. Because you know what? It's looking like 2021. We're going to be doing a lot more cooking at home again, just like we did in 2020. So hey, what cookbooks do you want to know should you be adding to your list? Okay, let's get into Dinner Uncomplicated by Claire Tansey. As I said, the title grabbed me right away. For you always wanted to know, are there photos? Yes, every recipe has a photo. And I have to say, really, which matches the spirit of this cookbook, which is practical, doable, easy, basic, really direct. And so, of course, there's a photo for every recipe. And it is, for fellow tactile people like me, it is a nice weight to the paper, a nice feel to it. And it also has these little inner flaps, which seems like a little silly, detail to point out, but I love these because when I'm browsing through, of course, when I'm cooking for you, I have all my stickies going on, but when I'm just browsing through a cookbook to figure out what the heck I'm going to make, as I'm doing my meal planning for the week, I love something like this because I'll, use it as a bookmark. So I love that it included those guys. Okay, getting into the table of contents because it is unique and I love how Claire organized this cookbook. Again, on theme, practical with the topic, Dinner Uncomplicated. It's organized by chapters, 15 minutes. Yes, please, 15-minute recipes for dinner. Sign me up for those. 45 minutes or less. And I want to emphasize the or less. Many of the recipes in that section are definitely less than 45 minutes. Set it and forget it. Make it ahead. Sunday stash. Weekends and celebrations. And then side dishes. And that's it. You'll notice, again, very simple and to the point cookbook. There aren't desserts, there aren't breakfasts, there aren't snacks. Nope, it is what is for dinner, helping you achieve that. So I love that. Let's dive into the recipes. I cooked a lot. There were a lot that I made. From the 15-minute or less was sticky Korean beef. I don't know how authentic this is, but tasty and quick. Loved that. Next recipe is pasta with tuna and antipasto. I enjoyed it. Kids loved this recipe. So yep, good one to have in the repertoire. I already made something like this kind of just to be, frank, but hey, maybe you hadn't thought of this idea, so it's a great one. Moving into the 45 minutes or less, and this one was 30 minutes, Thai steak salad. Delicious to bring those Thai flavors, for something different for dinner. I loved that. roasted vegetables with chickpeas. That's a great plant-based idea, maybe a meatless Monday idea. Love a sheet pan meal where you just throw it all on the sheet pan. Voila, you've got dinner. Love that. Ooh, Provencal fish soup. This was one of my favorite recipes in the book. I love seafood, I love fish, but you know what, sometimes I don't have the time, or, you know, especially in the COVID time when I'm minimizing how many places I'm going to. Not going to my local fishmonger, but just getting some frozen fish from the grocery store, doing the curbside pickup thing and getting some frozen fish as a part of it. And this recipe really suited frozen fish well. It was a beautiful dish and super quick. I've seen recipes for soups like this that involve many more steps and take much more time. This one fit within the 45-minute time limit there, and yet it was delicious, full flavor. So love that it brought that kind of an idea for a recipe for a quicker weeknight dinner. Slow cooker chicken taco chili. Yeah, it was a fan of the kiddos, and I love a slow cooker. Whether you use kind of an old school slow cooker or whether you're into the Instant Pot, I love that as a kitchen tool. You put it together in the morning and then just let her sit, and then when you get home, or, you know, if you're working from home, it's maybe a bit torturous because you smell it cooking all day. But I love that you can keep busy, and then when you're ready to eat dinner, oh, magically it's ready. I love that. Chickpea and rosemary nut burgers. This one, just for my taste buds, was just okay. Not bad, nothing wrong with it. You know, and I love a veggie burger idea. It can be, again, a nice entry way into plant-based eating for people who, that's a newer kind of concept, but they want to be eating more plant-based, so it's nice to have a veggie one. Mushroom and lentil ragu. Ooh. I loved this recipe. Delicious. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of lentils. And even though this is mushroom and lentil ragu, you really chop up the mushrooms. They become quite small. And so even for the kiddos in my household who do not like mushrooms, they liked this recipe. And I just didn't happen to mention that they were eating mushrooms. And this recipe had lots of flavor, even though they called for dried porcini mushrooms. And I am going to make it again with that. I have been searching the city of Victoria high and low for dried mushrooms, and it's one of those weird COVID things. There aren't any. Nobody can get dried porcini mushrooms in the store. And so I went ahead and made this dish without it, you know, kind of that reality, easy substitutions. And even in non-COVID times, hey, you might not have dried porcini mushrooms in your kitchen pantry, but so I thought I'd still give this a try, and yep. Good thumbs up, delicious recipe. Kind of that winter hearty, exactly one you want to eat on a cold, yucky day. Moving along, coconut and lime sweet potato dal. This was delicious. Again, a fantastic lentil-based, plant-based, vegan recipe. So good. Again, hearty, stick to your ribs kind of meal. And then rosemary beef stew. Again, not vegan, obviously, but again, that kind of hearty, classic. This is a classic stew. So, you know, and it's kind of a traditional food for many of us, and yet, you know, I didn't really make stews until recently, but something about being home with COVID and wanting a little bit more kind of cozy, comforting food, I've been in the mood for stews, and this was a classic, simple, basic one. It did call for dumplings. I didn't make the dumplings. Didn't take that step. It might be a good one. I really can't speak to that, but it was still a good recipe without it. Now, moving on to side dishes, garlicky green beans. Well, first of all, I love how she organizes the side dishes. They're just kind of side by side on the book there, a few pages of them. And so I loved kind of that organization. I've never seen that in a cookbook before. I tried the garlicky green beans. Yeah, and it was a good way to liven up frozen green beans. Again, grocery shopping less with COVID. I've been doing some frozen green beans, and yeah, it was a nice way to kind of brighten them up, liven them up. Roasted miso eggplant. was a good one, and happy to see the recipe for that, because back when I lived in Vancouver, would go out for Japanese a lot, and one of the Japanese restaurants that I would often frequent had a beautiful roasted miso eggplant on the menu, and I always ordered that, and so I was so happy to bring that recipe home. And then lemony braised beets. This recipe I loved. And I have to say that, I'm well versed in vegetables. If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm a big proponent of eating lots of veggies, eating your veggies. And so, when there's a new way to cook vegetables, I have to try it. A way that's new for me. And yeah, I love leeks. We grow them locally here on the island, and so I often have them as my preferred onion family, allium family ingredient for a soup. And so yeah, often buy them for that, but I've never had leeks just in and of themselves. They're always a background player kind of vegetable. And so this time I made this recipe as a whole side dish, and it was delicious. And I had my 6-year-old help me cook that in the kitchen, and he loved it too. So it was a kid-friendly way to be eating leeks of all things. And yeah, everybody in the household loved that recipe. So hands off to Claire Tansey for creating a veggie recipe that was new to me and was a big hit in my household. Okay, so in summary, dinner uncomplicated. Should you buy it? Yes. In one word, yes. As you probably could tell from my review, I found this practical, focused, and excellent cookbook for filling that gap. Because you know what? Sometimes you are feeling inspired, you've got the time, you feeling creative, and you want to do a more complicated, involved recipe for dinner, right? And so maybe you're going to make something, I don't know, by Yotam Ottolenghi. And I reviewed his cookbook Simple recently, and I'll include a link to that in the description box below. So yeah, sometimes you want to do that level of cooking. Awesome. Other days, no. You just need to get people fed. When you're tired, when you're squished for time, when you're feeling overwhelmed. And so I always recommend that people have what I call perfunctory meals in your repertoire. Things that are simple and easy and answer that question. As she says on the back here, it's 2 p.m. Do you know what you're making for dinner? That's exactly what this cookbook is excellent for. So if that sounds like, and yeah, for beginner cooks are going to feel comfortable with this cookbook, and of course, more confident cooks as well. So if that sounds like yourself or somebody on your holiday shopping list today, then I recommend this cookbook. There are one group of people whom I would say this cookbook is not for, and that's if you're vegan. I did make a lot of the vegan recipes in this cookbook, but most of the recipes in this cookbook do involve an animal-based product. And so I would recommend giving this book a pass if you're a vegan. If you eat omnivorously and are doing more plant-based as a part of that, this cookbook is going to be a great fit for you. So contact your local bookstore, go pick it up there. Or if you're going to get this cookbook from Amazon, I ask that you use the link in the description box below. Because when you do so, I earn a little tiny bit of money from your purchase at no extra expense to you. So that's a wonderful way for you to support the creation of these videos. So there we are. If you are looking for some more cookbook recommendations, I've got a couple of reviews here. If you like today's video, let me know. Click the thumbs up button. Have a good couple of weeks. Enjoy healthy eating.